All right, we're ready.
Live via Skype from two different parts of Texas, it's time once again for a couple of cold ones with Corey and Carlisle.
That's right, man. I'm hanging out at Mom's place, Ma Duke's.
Hanging out with Mommy.
That's right, man. Getting a free meal and some clean underwear. You know how it is.
I don't know how it is. I was hatched from an egg.
Well, ever since the old man passed away, my mom's been feeling kind of lonely, and it was her birthday, so I'm trying to spend more time with her. We'll probably have to do more of these this way, as I was telling you. I was actually trying to get you and Leon to start a podcast, but if this works, and I am spending more time here with my mom, we could probably do this a little bit more.
Yeah. No, and the thing is I'm down with doing a podcast with Leon. It's just trying to get our schedules to work because he has a day job. And I work nights, so it's trying to get that. What's always worked about this is the fact that you and I are both up in the middle of the night on Sunday, and it gives us something to post right on Monday morning. But to catch Leon up at 1:30 in the morning on a Sunday night, it ain't going to happen.
No, I know that, and I'm not trying to do that. I mean, I get tired of you touching me on my leg and everything when we're in person together, but I can handle that.
You always complain about that on air, and then whenever we're in the room together and the microphone's not on, you're like, why aren't you touching my leg?
Well, that's when the microphone's not on, but I'm trying to concentrate when we're recording. You know, I can't have y'all on my lap and everything when we do this now. But you know what? I would tell you something. We can actually probably make a compromise here because, as I said, I'm probably going to have to be spending more time with my mother. And that's the only reason why I kind of wanted to have you and Leon do that recording. But if we can do this and it works, then we might have a solution here. That or we just kidnap Leon in the middle of the night and make his ass do a podcast.
That is a possibility as well.
Then we can go ahead with the top five.
The top five brought to you by Bill.
Damn, see, this works so good. I still feel you spitting on me when you do that too. It's like it's just like I'm right there. Face is all wet right now.
I feel like you're giving me a hand job at this very moment. It's incredible.
It's as if I was there in person, doesn't it?
Yeah, except I get to watch porn and do it myself. This is great. I've got my two monitors set up going on. I've got one monitor that's got news and tweets. I tweeted about an hour and a half ago that we were going to be doing a Coco and that I could take some questions. So I've got some questions for the email portion of the show, and then my other screen is porn.
Awesome. Now, that could be our new tagline for the show. A couple of colons.
Screen is porn?
No, a couple of colons, like having a big black hand around your penis. I like that.
You know what? I think it's a little clunky. I think we should work with that.
Oh, we can slim it down.
We'll slim it down somehow.
All right, let's get on out of this.
Let's get
out of this
it's a really interesting and marginally frustrating top five.
This homosexuality into the top five. Man, what's up?
The number 5 film.
I can only guess why this is frustrating to you, and I hope to get your opinion on something too. Now that we are actually talking after a week, number 5 is Cobra's still rising, man, still hanging in there, boy.
Hey, G.I. Joe, baby.
Joe has pulled in $132.4 million, even though it cost $175 million to make. It's been out there for 4 weeks, so it's kind of slowing down a little bit, but not too bad so far.
No, not bad at all. Nobody ever went broke underestimating the intelligence of the American audience.
And that brought in $8 million this weekend, and looks like this might be the last week that it's in the top 5. So
it might be, but next weekend's really kind of lame. The weekend, Labor Day weekend, is always really crap. So it might still hang in there. But let's go to the number 4 film of the week.
Now you hear people say that in order for a movie to make its profit, that it has to make over 3 times what it cost over its initial budget. And the movie
3 times its cost is not. No, it's generally 2.
I've heard 3 sometimes, but even well, look, that doesn't matter because this is a movie that has made profit 3 times over what its budget is, and that is District 9. It has brought in $90.8 million. It cost $30 million to make, and this weekend, after 3 weeks, it has brought in $10.7 million, and it is one of my favorite movies this summer. So I'm happy to hear that.
Oh, absolutely. It's always great when one of the best films of the year actually does well. And this is it's definitely profited, and this is before taking in foreign and before taking in DVD, and I think this one is going to be one of those that stays on DVD for a while. So yeah, this was a good call. This is what happens when you take geniuses and give them small, moderate level budgets. You end up with really great films that a lot of heart went into, that end up profiting.
Yeah,
it didn't make G.I. Joe money, but or even Transformers money, but instead it's going to be pure profit.
Yeah, no, it's going to be pure profit, and it's not the property that G.I. Joe or Transformers is. I mean, this is a movie that came out of nowhere and surprised audiences and built up its momentum sort of like 2 months before it came out. So this is a movie that's done surprisingly well, and I'm happy to hear that it has. And let's go into some new entries here, starting with number 3.
Number 3.
And that would be Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, which brought in underestimated it brought in an underwhelming $17.4 million.
Very underwhelming, especially considering the first one, the first Halloween, Halloween directed by Rob Zombie, opened this very same weekend 2 years ago to just over $30 million. So for this to come in at this number is definitely disappointing to Zombie and his team.
Yeah, the studios didn't expect that. They expected a little bit more money, but predictions for this movie said that they weren't surprised, because there's been a lot of horror movies that have done this, where the shocks delivered the first time and people haven't been bothered to see it the second time. Something like Texas Chainsaw Massacre did sort of the same pattern. So it's not a lot of people are surprised.
I'm not surprised, but by the same token, I don't think that's the case at all. I don't think it's fall off. I don't think it's people sick of Zombie. I think it was this weekend's competition, but we'll get to that very shortly after the number 2 film,
which is Inglourious Basterds, which now has gone on to be a bona fide hit. It has brought in $73.8 million in 2 weeks. It is Quentin Tarantino's second highest grossing film after Pulp Fiction. And this weekend alone, in its second week, it has brought in $20 million. So that movie's going pretty strong, man. A lot of people are loving this movie. Even I did not love it, but I liked it a lot. And it is probably right up there with some of my favorite films from Quentin Tarantino.
Well, the Weinsteins lived to fight another day. That's the interesting story here. Is the Weinsteins were broke. The reason why this was distributed by Universal is because the Weinstein Company didn't have the money to even put it in theaters. This was their last thing. They had a number of films on their plate that they couldn't spend any money on, that they started selling off or letting other people distribute, and they needed this to work, and it did. So this movie has saved the Weinsteins for the moment. And yeah, no, it's going to go on to be Quentin Tarantino's highest grossing theatrical film, which he really needed after what happened with
Death Proof.
Death Proof. Yeah, it's going
Grindhouse. Yeah.
He needed this in a bad way, and sure enough, again, this is what I was talking about before. When you give guys like this a moderate budget, not a big budget, but a moderate budget, and let them work around that, they end up making a film like this.
Yeah, no, I'm all for, after seeing a lot of people do things, including Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino with Grindhouse, I'm all for a 50% hand in some of this creativity that goes on. Like somebody coming in and telling somebody, you need to cut this shit down, and somebody say, well, let me have a little say some on project too. And I think this worked right here, and it wasn't self-indulgent as much as I thought it would be, and it's actually something that Quentin Tarantino seemed really inspired to do. And, it's kind of a return to form for him, even though he's still doing some of the things that I disliked with Kill Bill. But I'm glad that this movie is doing well, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he'll do next. I would like to see him do another movie with those characters, man, the Bastards, because I didn't feel there was enough of them in Inglourious Basterds.
See, I'm right there with you. I would love to see him do that in a big way. I mean, the Bastards themselves were really interesting characters, and the one small minor thing that disappointed me about this film is I've been hyped up for 8 years, for Quentin to do a film, which he's been talking about, that's just a Men on a Mission movie. That feels like The Dirty Dozen or Kelly's Heroes or any of those films where it's just a bunch of dudes fighting impossible odds, slowly getting picked off. And that's what I wanted to see, and this wasn't it. I like what I saw. I like it a lot. But it wasn't that. And so, yeah, I totally agree with you. I'd like to see that him revisit those characters or revisit a different group of characters and do something similar to what he was initially talking about.
Yeah, he actually talked about, and I'm not doing this to make a joke. I'm not doing this because I'm black. He actually mentioned, I don't think he'll do this because Quentin Tarantino always says, I'm going to do something and never does it. Even he has admitted himself, like, hey, I have all these ideas and I say I'm going to do it, and I never come back around to doing it. But he actually wants to do this with a group of black characters who go out and they actually fight racists, like white racists. And I don't know what setting he wants to do this in. I forgot. But, I mean, I think that would be perfect for him because he's all into the blaxploitation stuff. And he loves black characters. And I figured, like, man, he can make a really cool sort of a throwback to maybe a blaxploitation type film with that.
A 70s era style Black Dirty Dozen would
Black
be
Gestapo.
Awesome. No, because Black Gestapo is very different.
I'm kidding. But so is the original Inglourious Bastards, and he could,
sure.
like, you know. Anyway, let's go ahead into our number one movie.
The number one movie of the week, I Hate You.
Which is The Final Destination. Not Final Destination, but the definitive Final Destination. Why do you hate this movie? I didn't see it, by the way.
It's a fucking piece of shit, that's why.
Really?
This was a fuck this movie for me.
Really? Because Cyrus liked it.
I'm not surprised. It was a total fucking piece of shit. I hate this movie. What did he give it, out of curiosity?
He was pretty mediocre about it, but he did give it a low matinee.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And he actually said a low matinee for going to the theater and seeing it in 3D, and people, especially for the uninitiated, for people who haven't seen any of these movies. Like, I've never seen any of these movies before. I haven't seen one Final Destination movie. Has
he ever seen one?
Yeah, he loves those movies. He's seen all of them. He doesn't love all of them. He says number 2 and one other one. He said, but number 2 is the best one, and one other, I think number 3 is the second.
2 is the best, definitely. I like 1 for some of the gags in it. I hate 3, and I absolutely positively loathe this piece of shit.
Or maybe he said 1 was the second best, 2 and then 1. I can't remember.
This was just so painful to sit through, and it was so dull because it was just tedious because they show you these weird premonitions of how someone's going to die, and it's just sitting there waiting for them to go through all the red herrings of, oh, we're going to get, oh, no, we're not going to get, oh, we're going to kill, oh, no, we're not going to, oh, now they're dead. And the deaths were so unimaginative. It was so, every death was super CG. It was really cheesy, really goofy, and really poorly done. It's some of the worst CG I've seen in a long time. I mean, you remember how badly I hated
My Bloody Valentine?
My Bloody Valentine?
See, I like My Bloody Valentine. I couldn't figure out why you hated it.
Well, you also saw it drunk. Okay, you were drinking and
I really wasn't all that drunk. I was there with an audience that was in. I was there at midnight, and it was a great midnight movie to watch with all these people who were having a good time with it in 3D. I liked that movie, man.
This movie made me wish I was watching that movie again. This movie made that movie look fucking brilliant. I mean, I wish you had been there that night then when we were recording, because that would have been a good debate. Yeah, but, it was the Final Destination, and really I didn't want to fucking think about it anymore. It hurt my head a lot. I was so angry, because I almost went to Halloween 2, because I'm a big Rob Zombie fan, and I wanted to see that, but Halloween 2 was playing up at the Gateway, and, I really don't care for that theater, and then Final Destination was playing in 3D at the Draft House, and I had some friends going, and I was like, all right, you know what, fine, you talked me into it, I'll go see the Final Destination. And I was so angry with. I mean, it's odd to hear Cyrus say that he liked it, because I walked out and everyone I walked out with was bitching about it and hating on it, and I was like, okay, I'm not alone. Everyone else I'm talking to hates this fucking film.
Yeah, I have no room to speak. I haven't seen it, and I haven't seen any of those movies. So
now I think this is why Halloween completely underperformed like it did. Because that Halloween made $17 million, and this made what, $30 million?
28.3 million.
Yeah, so all told, horror racked in $45 million this weekend of the box office, and that got split between 2 films. So I'm thinking that had they not had two competing films in the marketplace, Halloween 2 probably would have done like it did last time. But this time, when people got offered a choice, it's, well, do you want to see a movie in 3D or do you want to see a sequel? They were both sequels, but do you want to see one in 3D or not 3D? And people opted for 3D.
Well, did you ever see? And I think the first. How much did the first Halloween make?
The first Halloween made, I believe, $30 million its opening weekend.
Opening weekend? Because I remember it being like in the 20 range, like 25 million, something like that.
Let me double check, but
I don't think it was 30 million. I think it was
30.
20. I think it was 20 something million dollars. Maybe not 25, but it was in there in the $20 million range somewhere.
Well, I'll find out here in a moment.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to make. But so did you said you finally saw it?
Opening weekend was you were correct. It was 26.3 million was the opening weekend.
Okay, but what did you see the movie? This sequel?
No, I was actually going to go see it earlier tonight, and then my wife wasn't in the mood to see it, so I'm like, oh well, I'll see it tomorrow. So
see, I'd be really curious to see what you think about this.
See, I'm really curious to see what I think as well, because I've heard very mixed reactions. Now, a lot of the reactions I just kind of brushed off, because a lot of people were really hating on the original Halloween, and anyone who hated on the first Halloween, which I really enjoyed, who comes back and goes, yeah, it's just more Rob Zombie shit, that doesn't convince me that it's a bad film. But the problem is I've talked to a bunch of people who really liked the first one, and half of them thought this was a good sequel, and the other half really disliked it. So I'm like, oh shit.
This shit is so crazy, man. I'm not going to tell you that it's bad myself. I think it's bad, but I'm not going to tell you that which I just did. But because you're going to think I'm one of those people who just has something against the film. And I'll be honest with you.
It's not that it's people necessarily have something against the film, but if you don't like Rob Zombie and what he does, and you don't like what he did in the first film, how can you expect to like what he did in the second?
Well, I actually do like Rob Zombie. I like his music. I like his videos. I like what do you call it? The Devil's Rejects. I'm looking forward to the Haunting Adventures of Super El Beasto, the animated thing that he has coming out next month. And he's even said that he's going to be going on to make The Blob, which I'm thinking, you know what? That is probably a movie that's better suited for Rob Zombie than Halloween, because I think that a monster movie like this will suit his sort of creativity and his imagination instead of remaking something like a serial killer movie like Halloween.
I don't disagree with you, although my problem is I think the serial killer thing was very much up his alley. I mean, so much so that it's all he's made. He's made 4 films, all of them serial killer movies. I'm so excited that he's moving on into something else. What people are all up in arms about, though, is that when he talked about The Blob and did the initial interview, he goes, yeah, I'm not going to talk about what I'm doing yet, but we're not going to do a big red blobby thing like in the past 2 movies, because I don't think that'll work today. And people lost their minds.
Yeah, now people start speculating on this shit that he was going to do. They're going to they said, now people even know what he was talking about. Some people even went off and started saying, you know what he's going to do? He's going to make The Thing, because the blob is going to not eat people and consume them. It's going to shapeshift. It's going to absorb people and then change into them. And it's going to be like a cross between The Thing and the Terminator, the Metal Man from Terminator 2. And I'm like, y'all don't know what the fuck he's going to do. Y'all just talking shit now. I mean, he never said that.
And that's the thing is, all Rob Zombie has to do is announce whatever he's working on next, and people will just start screaming at him like, "How dare you!" He said he's not going to do it with a big red blobby thing. You know what? I'm gonna put some faith in him. I like him a lot. I trust that he's got a cool idea. The way I look at this, it's funny you mentioned The Thing. This is what I mentioned to a few friends the other day, was that, hey, saying we're not going to do The Blob with a big red blobby thing is like John Carpenter in 1981 saying, yeah, I'm going to remake The Thing from another world, but it's not going to be a frozen vegetable guy. What do you mean it's not going to be a frozen vegetable? That's what The Thing was. What are you talking about? Well, no, I'm going to kind of try to adapt it from the original story, and I'm going to do something a little. It's not going to work. That's total crap. He's got to be a vegetable guy. That's what he is. And then he goes and makes The Thing. I'm hoping that he does this with The Blob, because the original Blob is a great, fun, campy classic, and the 80s version, the 1988 version, is great, campy fun, but nobody's ever done a serious fucking Blob movie where it's really just fucking balls to the wall horror.
I don't know, man. I thought that remake of the Blob that they did, it wasn't just a blobby red Jello type thing. That thing was kind of cool, man. It had tentacles and it burned people, and you got to see people melting on the screen. Everybody's not talking about that remake, but they remade the Blob in 1986 or 7, something like that.
88.
88. Okay.
I love it a lot. In fact, it stars Shawnee Smith, who most people will know as Jigsaw's assistant in the Saw movies. She starred. It's when she was really young. And I love that movie a lot. In fact, I prefer the 88
And Kevin Dillon, man.
Kevin Dillon is the roguish motorcycle riding, leather jacket wearing badass.
Johnny Drama.
But screw that. Fucking Shawnee Smith. That was when she was super uber hot. I had the biggest crush on her back when she was in that movie. Man, was she hot in that movie. But that movie's just, it's really creepy, but then it has that really stupid, goofy, we're going to make a sequel ending with the preacher with the burned face holding up the little piece of the blob.
Well, that's the last part of the movie. I can look past that. I think what was cool about that film is that you had like a hero. They had the guy, the clean-cut leading man who you thought was kind of going to be the hero of the movie, and they just, that thing ate his ass right at the beginning and, and left the arm. You remember that shit? And he was like, help me. And that chick, was it Shawnee Smith who tried to help him and pulled his arm off and shit? I was like, man, this movie's badass right now. I love that. I mean, the Blob, I'm amazed that the Blob has caught on, man, because you're right. The original is just, it really is a mound of Jello. That's all. It's a box of fucking Jello.
Exactly, and in this day and age, that's not going to work. And the thing is the studio's just going to go, well, you know what? Do the Jello CG, and then it's going to look even fucking worse when people start talking about, you know what? When they made a more realistic Jello mold in 1958, you got problems, dude. And so I like that. I mean, the Blob stories, it's the classic mold. Something falls from space that is a mindless consumption machine. It's, a giant space amoeba lands here and starts eating shit. I want to see him play around with that and do what kind of creepy stuff. Besides, Rob has to find new places to use Sherry Moon Zombie. Even
you gotta admit. Now, I interviewed the guy. And I even brought up the question. Now, I wasn't like confrontational because I'm the one that has said, like, man, he uses his wife in a movie as much as he can, and it almost seems like he's giving her an excuse to work. And when I interviewed him, I said, people say, I didn't say I said it because I don't want to be an asshole, but looking at, when he gave the explanation, he's like, I just like working with my wife. And I was like, okay, I can see that. But even after watching this Halloween, I'm like, damn, man, you really are beginning to crowbar into movies now. I'm sorry, man. I mean, I would. That's why I want you to see it, because I think you'd be hard pressed to even say yourself, like, yeah, no, he's not doing that on purpose. He just he thinks he's a really good actress.
I want to see it. I'm definitely checking it out this week. I'm really bitter at myself for seeing the Final Destination because I'd totally written that off, and then I went and I allowed myself to get kind of excited for it, and then just left pissed off.
But God, I'm with you. Well, I see now. I got to go see it because I want to go see it. But I would, just to let you know, I really do like Rob Zombie, and where I was kind of rolling my eyes with Halloween. I really am looking forward to seeing what he'll do with the Blob. You say he's going to make it more of a science fiction film. I think he's throw Bill Cosby in that shit. The Blob versus Bill Cosby, big old mold of Jello fighting Bill Cosby. Nah, I would bet Bill Cosby would win that shit too.
Only if it were Frozen.
Oh. Frozen, and then in the sequel he fights a
didn't he only do the pudding pops? He didn't do the actual Jello.
No, he did. No, he did Jello, man. He did Jello commercials because he was always. They even made Jello jigglers. He's like, look at it, jiggle, and it was like,
oh God, he did do that.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, he was up there jiggling himself. Yeah, look at it, jiggle, and then
it does the schism, and then the scasm pops. He's scasm. See,
I can see
it's the Jello jiggle. See, it's the Jello jiggle.
And the jiggle and the jiggle. Now, see, that was so weird about when they came out with like sexual accusations about Bill Cosby with women. I was thinking, please don't let that be true, because that's what I see. Bill Cosby in front of some woman's ass and look at that jiggle. And I was like, I don't want to see this shit, man.
That's how it's done, brother.
He's a pimp. But no, man, I do like Rob Zombie a lot. Have you heard about this Super El Beasto thing?
I've heard about it. I don't know much about it. I just know that it exists and that it's coming out. And I know Cyrus was excited about it.
Yeah, I've been hearing about it for a while, and I was like, man, I really want to see that. I think Rob Zombie is a really creative guy, and that's one of the things that I've been looking forward to him doing. But I thought that project was dead. Now he keeps talking about this other movie, Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah.
And what's going on with that?
I don't know. That was supposed to be his next film, and then he decided to do Halloween 2 and said Tyrannosaurus Rex will be my next film after that. And then he said The Blob. I'm guessing maybe at this point it's much easier for him to attach himself to sequel projects or remake projects. Because the thing about Rob Zombie is, there are people screaming at him and just going off on him. And he's got a small audience that loves him, and I know that I'm in the minority of people that really because you say you like Rob Zombie. I've liked all